Poslušajmo.
Let us listen to Goran Ćurković.
I njegovo iskustvo.
And his experience. His family is here, wife Katarina and his children.
Znate,
You know Goran.
možda ste ga neki slušali,
Maybe some of you already heard him speak. I've also heard him,
ali nikad dosta.
but never enough.
Zanimljivo,
It is so interesting, so exciting and unbelievable. But Goran will be able to share that better with us. Welcome.
Hvala moj fra Marinko.
Thank you, my Frau Marinko.
Dragi moji mladi,
My dear youth, I greet you wholeheartedly. I greet also of you whose identity card shows that you're not quite young, but you feel young in your heart.
ja ću vam ispričati
I will share with you my life story that consists,
na svjedočanstva
as the majority of the witnesses, are two parts. First part is without God, and the second part is with God.
i vidjet ćete da sve ono što je
You will see that everything that is impossible for men, you will see how everything is possible to God.
ja sam zove kao što ste čuli Goran
My name is Goran, as you've heard. I was born in Split, in Croatia,
u jednoj katoličkoj obitelji.
in a Catholic family.
Ali u mojoj obitelji nije bilo
But in my family there was no prayer, there was no faith. We didn't go to church. My parents told me that I had to go to church,
ja nisam htio
but I didn't want to,
primjer.
because I saw the example of my parents, and I said, please, you're not going, why would I have to?
Ali moj tata je teško.
But my dad was a very hard man. I had to go to catechism.
Ja sam se, meni je tamo bilo dosadno.
I was bored there,
Jer vi kad čitate 10 Božjih zapovjedi,
because when you read the Ten Commandments of God, what interest is in them? You can't steal, you can't lie, you can't swear,
škoda tuđim ženama,
you can't go with the women, the wives of others, you can't do anything. I said, what is this for life?
to nije život za jednoga
That's not life for a young man who wants to discover
staru baku, koja
the world. This is a life for an old lady who was prepared to die, and I was sure that there I would not receive anything.
moja sestra kad je imala 4 godine,
When my sister was 4 years old, she fell from the 5th floor and died. My brother, when he was 1 year old, got meningitis and became deaf-mute.
utjecalo na moju obitelj.
And all of that influenced my family, but especially on my mom. She was always depressive, always crying.
Boga,
At home there was no God. She started to drink alcohol, because she thought that with alcohol she would solve the pain that she carried in her heart.
tata bio pomoć,
My father was a sailor,
onda na ulici,
and I was more on the street than at home.
ja sam stalno ispred televizije,
I was always in front of television. And television, I liked to watch the American action films. And these stars were my idols. They were beautiful. They had big muscles. They were tattooed. They fought. They were in jail. They stole, killed. They had beautiful women, good cars, lots of money. They smoked Marlboro and drank whiskey. They were real cool.
stvorim sliku u glavi,
And I created an image in my head that a man had to be cool.
kada sam imao 10 godina,
When I was 10 years old,
sam pušio cigare,
I started to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol.
cigarom sam se osjećao veliko,
With a cigarette, I felt big, man, important.
alkohol mi je dao
And alcohol gave me the strength and the courage to do stupid things that, if I was normal, would never do.
11 godina,
When I was 11 years old,
siguran da sam već
I was sure that I was already big, that I know everything about life.
bilo mi je dosta i škole i obitelji,
I had enough of the school, family,
vikali i govorili šta treba raditi, kako
all the people telling me what I have to do, how I have to behave. I had enough of it.
11 godina
I am 11 years old, I can live alone.
njega sam
I ran away from home into another city.
pokra jedan dušan,
I stole from a shop. The police put me in jail.
ma zvala moga tata, tuže po mene,
The police called my dad to come for me,
tam ostavio 3
but my dad left me there 3 days because he thought in a logical way,
dan duže, ja
if he leaves me for a day longer, I will become scared and I will change.
odnos između moga tate i mene,
The relationship between my dad and me, I don't even know if it can be called a relationship. My dad is a good man, but he had a problem because he didn't know how to communicate. In our house, there was never dialogue. That entire way of raising me that my father had was to beat me. He beat me every day like he would a bull. After 3 days, he came to get me at the police. He didn't ask me anything. He already beat me up in the police station, so the policeman had to defend me from him. So you can imagine how much he beat me. And then for 2.5 hours, he beat me in a bus until we came home. When I was 13 years old, my mother died. And when she died, I fell into depression. In depression, because I never showed my mother love. I never embraced my mom. I never kissed her. I never told her that I loved her. And I loved her. 1,000,000 times I want to give that gesture of love towards her, but I couldn't. Because I'm a man. And man cannot have feelings. And women have feelings. And this hurt me a lot. And I decided to kill myself. By this act of suicide, I want to say to my mom that I'm sorry and that I love her. 8 months later, my dad got remarried. And inside of me, for the first time, there was hatred that came. Hatred for my dad. Because I didn't understand. 8 months later, he forgot his wife, my mother. I hated my brother. He was indifferent. He was also an alcoholic. And I hated that woman that came into our home to act our mom. On the first anniversary of the death, I borrowed a gun from a friend. That was on the 2nd of June, 1968. I came home. My father was watching soccer. I sat beside him. I wanted to speak with him. He turned around. He hit me. I went into my room. I turned the gun to my head and I shot myself. I woke up in the hospital. I heard the doctor speaking with someone and he said, that young man whom we operated yesterday, we did not succeed. The bullet is already in the head. We can't take it out. He will not live long and he will have huge problems in his head. Several days later, my dad came with my new so-called mom, and they said that it was a successful operation, that the bullet was taken out. I was indifferent. I was in depression. I went on the road. I started to drink all kinds of tablets. I always was looking to have company with somebody who's older, because when I was in company with them, I felt older. I felt cool. But these my old friends, for a long time, were smoking marijuana and hash. And every day said, Goran, you're not normal. Look what you look like under alcohol and tablets. You need to start smoking marijuana, because marijuana is a natural plant, and when you smoke it, it's good for your health. You eat better, you sleep better, you think better, you smile, you're not aggressive, and there's no crisis, there's no addiction. Every day they told you that, and I started to think about that. Maybe this marijuana is not so dangerous. I'll try it. I tried it once, and for the next 10 days I didn't smoke it. And through these 10 days I said to myself, Goran, you're a real man of character. For 10 days you didn't have a need to light marijuana. Everybody's lying. There's no crisis. There is no addiction. It's not true that it has addiction. So I started again. And I started to come to the point where I was smoking it from morning to night. And then one day I woke up in a hospital, my head bloody, huge, swollen. And the doctors have the diagnosis. They told me that I was epileptic with grand mal. When I received the diagnosis, I fell into deeper depression. I was very ashamed of that sickness. I knew I had to change my life, but how? My father is always on a boat. My brother is drunk every day. This other poor mother had fear of me. I was aggressive against her. I blamed her for everything. And then again, I permitted these older friends to help me, and they talked me into taking heroin. Because they told me, Goran, with heroin, you will receive all your problems, all of your complexes and your fears. I was sure that I was on the bottom, that it couldn't be worse for me in life. And I said, I will try heroin. Maybe it'll be better. At the beginning, it was super. That feeling from heroin. Little money, a little heroin. But as time continued, every day I needed more and more money and more heroin. And this wasn't enough for me to steal little things. Then I started to break into restaurants, into apartments. I had to start stealing the wallets. I started to do things that I was sure that I would never do. And imagine the paradox. My father worked his entire life. Money and material things he brought home. In 1 month, I stole everything out of there and sold it. One day I saw the father at the table. The poor man was crying and says, "Goran, my son, please come. I see that you have huge problems. Sit down, let's speak. I want to help you." I'm looking at him. I said, Are you crazy? You want to speak with me? My beloved, I've been waiting for you 20 years. It's too late now. You live your life and I will live mine. That was in 80s. Communism was here. In the communist Yugoslavia, they said that there was no drugs. There were no consultation centers. There were no communities. My father didn't know where to find advice, so he went to police. It's at 4 o'clock in the morning. Police came into my room, brought heroin to it, threw it at my head and said, "Now we're going to lock you up." And I figured they will lock me up 5 or 6 months. Maybe I will see that this will be the wrong way and I'll change. But what happened? In jail, they taught me how to steal better, how to mix the drugs so that they have more. And when I came out of the jail, I came out smarter than before. So it made me 100% worse. I said I would go on. The father was looking for help. One day, a good friend from my father said to him, "Marco, your son Goran is sick." When somebody's sick, where do they go? They go to a doctor. You must lock up. Goran is psychiatry. Psychiatrists are really smart people. Nobody can help me except psychiatrists. All my family was happy. The problem was solved. And they started to push me to go to psychiatry. I didn't want to go. But because I had problems with the courts and police, in the end I had to. 2 days before I was in psychiatry, I organized everything. And with us a split, the psychiatrist on the main floor. I had my bed all day. I watched television. I joked with the other patients. Doctors gave me tablets. My friends came every day. Through the window, they threw in drugs and alcohol to me. It was great for me, like I being on holidays. And one night in pajama, I went to disco. The doctors went crazy with me. They didn't know what to do with me. And naturally, they threw me out in the end. No, nothing better with the second chance. First aid, police, my brother and I fighting every day. It was hell. The father, like a father, wanted to give me another chance. He was looking for help everywhere. And one day, a good friend from my dad came and said, "Marco, for a long time I was thinking about your problem. You need to find work for Goran." Again, logical thinking. Goran will have to get up early in the morning. Goran will work 8 hours. Goran will grow tired. When he becomes tired, he won't have the desire or time to do something stupid. He will work with normal people, you will see. Step by step, Goran will change. Everyone happy, the problem solved. So now they started to do everything to go to work. I didn't want to work. It was easier for me to steal. And when they said I wouldn't do it, all the family put together and they put me before a wall. And they said, "Now it's enough. Either you go to work or you go to the street. We cannot keep you home anymore." What now? I don't feel like working. I don't want to be in the street. When the time came that I had to choose, clearly I had to choose the lesser evil of the two, so I went to work. My father found me the work in the firm where he worked. It was a big warehouse, and there was everything for the sailors and for boats, and all the friends from my dad worked there. And I said to my dad, "Marco, don't worry, you bring him here. We will beat him up if we have to. We'll give him so much work that he will have his ears steam. We'll tie him down. He will be good." And I started to work. Very quickly, it was clear that it was the biggest mistake my dad made. because I stole half the warehouse. I sold everything from there that could be sold. I borrowed money. I never came back. Sometimes I asked the boss to give me more money. I didn't even pay him back the ones from before. And he started to shout at me, and I took a knife and started to chase him around. They said that I was nuts. So what are you going to do with me? They kicked me out. And that was the end. One day I came home, drunk, in crisis. I asked money from my father. He turned to me. He hit me in the head. We started to fight. But because my dad was 120 kilos, I saw that I would really get beaten. So I took a knife and I stabbed my father into the stomach. They took my dad to the hospital. Took me into jail. I was angry. It was his fault. Why didn't he give me money? If he gave me money, I would have bought heroin, nothing would happen. When they let me go out of the jail, I was going to go home as if nothing happened. And today I think about it, that's the worst that could ever happen to anyone, that you don't have conscience at all. I went to come back to my home, but the doors were locked, and my father behind the door said, "My son, between family and street, you have chosen the street. You're welcome. Live on the street with your friends. And one day if you decide to be a person, come back and we will help you." All the hatred that I had towards my family became a million times worse, because I didn't understand how he dared to throw me out of the house. I spat at the door. I started to curse, swear. And I said, "Get lost, you and your house. I'm going. You will never see me." For 9 years I lived on the street like a hobo. These 9 years I can't even share with you. It was terrible. When you have money, when you have drugs, you also have friends. But I came to the point when I had the money and the drugs, no one wanted to be with me. I looked so bad. I behaved completely abnormally. And that last time of being on the street, there were some abnormal fears that came in me. I can't describe them. They were fears to go mad with, fears from everything. At that moment, no drugs, no tablets could calm me down. The only thing that could calm me down was my blood. So I bled myself, so I slashed myself, or with an injection, I took out my blood and I drank my own blood, and that gave me some kind of peace. The last time when they shut me down, shut me in, locked me in, they brought me to neuropsychiatry, and they gave me the diagnosis that I was schizophrenic. And then they sent me to the insane asylum. Immediately I got the therapy for my sickness in the insane asylum, and after a certain time I calmed down. One morning I was sitting at the table, I'm looking around, and I said to myself, what am I doing here? I'm just an ordinary drug addict. But I was on the part of section of the hospital where they were all murderers. Why? Because in Zagreb I was waiting for the transport to psychiatry. But the problem was that the war began in Croatia at that time. The first bed that got free was there. When the war started, they had other problems, and they left me there. I said, I can't stay here. These will kill me in 2 days. I have to run away. So then I checked out the situation. When the situation showed itself, I stole the money from my fellow patient and ran away. I had a plan in my head. I will go to Split. I would take drugs. I would go into the war. Croatia will win. The government will change and I'll be free. So I went to Split. I took some drugs, and one morning I went to come to register myself for the war. When I went into the office, these two soldiers looked at me, and one said to me, "Where are you going?" I said, "What do you mean?" "I'm Croatian. I'm going to go defend my country." And this other guy said to me, "Please turn around and go outside, because if I get up, I'm going to break both of your legs." "Why?" I'm 90 years old, 90 kilos. I didn't even have 60 kilos. Can you imagine? 30 kilos less. I was bone and skin. On the other hand, had they given me a gun, for sure I would have sold it and I would have changed it for drugs. They threw me out. I continued with my life. The police I'd given up an arrest warrant.
Odmah su me dobro izglatili.
I was taken to the police station. I was beaten up. I had put a straitjacket on me. They put me in the room with the man whose money I stole, and he had killed 4 people. They did this deliberately. They wanted to punish me that way. I was lying on my bed tied down on the bed, and my legs were also tied down to the 2 bedposts. And this Mr. Drago Horvat sat in front of me in his bed for 5 days. He was smoking a cigarette and looking in my eyes. In 5 days, he didn't say one word to me. This killed me psychologically. Because why isn't he speaking? If he's not, somebody not speaking, nobody's thinking. Whenever he would get up from bed, my eyes would roll over. I thought, oh, now he's going to kill me. On the 5th day, he's looking at me and said, listen, you know who I am. You know what I've done and what I can do. For 5 days, I've been thinking whether I will strangle you like a rabbit or not. But when I think better, if you had the courage to steal my money, you know what? I congratulate you. Hallelujah. That was the best moment of my life. Afterwards, we became the best friends. But it was horrible because as there was war, many times the medicine was not available. But not to be boring. So finally, the main primarist of the hospital called me in and said, Goran, tomorrow you're leaving. If you commit one criminal work, I personally will bring you back. You will be here your entire life. You will never come out again. You will die here. I promise you that. And now you do what you need to do with your life. I said, oh my goodness, this man is crazy. What am I to do now? He never forgave me that I ran away, and he always caused problems for me. And I thought I didn't have the strength or the courage to come back, and I knew that I had to change my life. I was already of age, and it wasn't going the way it was going. I decided to change. The first door I knocked on was the door of the dealer to buy heroin, and the next day I came back to the same old life. As the time passed, I would hold a sandwich in my pocket for 10 days. I wouldn't eat. The stench that came from me, you cannot even imagine. I will share with you just one example how much I stunk. When I would go into the bus, on the next station, everybody would have run out of the bus. What stench! How many times I sat on the little wall. People would walk on me. They would spit on me. They would hit on me with their hands, with their legs. And they said they had to be killed because I'm poison for the community. I was all the same to me, whether spat or didn't spit, whether beat me or didn't beat me. I was only waiting for the moment to die. For me, death was salvation, and life for me was only suffering. How many times I would drink an entire bottle of vodka, an entire container of pills, and heroin. But imagine, even though I was in coma, each time I woke up, one day I woke up and my mouth was full of little fleas, and they gave me advice that if I were going to slash my veins, they should not be slashed this way, but lengthwise. And one day I found the old gillettes. I found them on the ground. I sat on the bench. I pulled my skin out. Well, you can see the scar here. And I slashed myself. In a few moments I was in coma, and I woke up in a hospital. Simply, God didn't want me. I don't know why. One evening, it was winter, February, a little half-ruined house, a little bit of cardboard box, a little candle, like a dog. I was there. And at the moment I thought about my family, about my past. And the more I thought about that, I felt pain in my chest. In the end, I came down to the point that nobody was at fault for everything that was in my life, I was the only one that was at fault. I blamed everybody, especially my family, that I had to do to justify myself and what I was doing. But when I came to the point that I was the one that was a madman who had destroyed his own life, do you know what happened? I started to cry and started to pray the Hail Mary. Hatred that I had towards God, Our Lady, Jesus, the Church, the priests, you the faithful, the hatred that you cannot even imagine. I'm even ashamed to say all that I've done. And the prayer of the Hail Mary remained in my head when I was little, and my parents forced me to go to catechism. All night I cried, I prayed the Hail Mary, and I said, My Blessed Mother, please take me to yourself, or give me your hand that I may change this my woeful life. I cannot go on. I am tired from everything. All night. After several days, sitting in a park, morning, cold, I was like a little mouse, all crunched together, thinking about what to do that day. At a given moment, a woman enters into that park. I'm looking and seeing, who is this? It was strange for a woman to come into the park. I'm looking at her. She's looking at me. I'm thinking, I hope that this one doesn't come to me. And she comes right in front of me. That was not Our Lady. Don't think that I'm a visionary. It would be beautiful, but it's not. She comes to me. She says, Good morning. I said, Good morning. She said, Listen, I have a problem. Please, can you help me? She told me that she had one problem. I thought it would go out of my mind. I said, You're crazy. You have one problem? Dear woman, do you know how many problems I have? I have 1,000,000. Who will help me? Old lady, get away. You and your problem. Who is interested? She became a little frightened, but she says, No, please, please. I'm looking for a young man called Chuka. She's looking for me. That was my name on the street. My nickname. I thought about, if I say I'm her, she'll start to shout, people will start to beat me, and police will take me away. But on the other side, I was curious. Because for me, this was a strange situation. And I thought, will I say it or not? Will I say it or not? I look over. I don't see anyone. I look on the other side. No one there. I said to her, That's me. She raised her head and says, Oh, my Blessed Mother, thank you that I found him. I'm looking. I said, Oh, my dear God, this was a crazy woman. She's gone off. But she took me by the hand and she said to me, Please, let's go for a walk. In crisis, I had anything else to do except to have a walk with some old woman in the park. But then I thought, wait, fool, she needs you. If she needs you, you will ask for money from her, and for sure she'll give it to you. It's the only reason why I went with her. She started her story. She went there for a drug addict that ended up in jail. That woman, through the lawyers and through the judge, had resolved that the son would not go to jail but to community Činakole. And she asked her son, Do you have a friend that I can help her? And he gave her my name. But for me, there was no logic. That young man is 10 years younger. The only thing we had in common was twice in some kind of a shack. We took drugs of heroin together. That woman came to me. She got me an ID card. I didn't have any. I was a hobo. She brought me to the bus station in Split, and she didn't say anything to me. I said, Where am I going? And full of happiness, Goran, you're going to Medjugorje. I look at her saying, Where's there? What's there? She said to me, Listen, Goran, Medjugorje, it is a little place in Bosnia and Herzegovina. There Our Lady is appearing. Our Lady is waiting for you, and she will help you. I'm looking at her like this, and I'm thinking to myself, Oh, my mother. Woe to me, I'm a schizophrenic, but this one is more nuts than I am.
Hvala. Držim ovu kartu u ruci,
I'm holding this ticket in my hand. I'm looking at the ticket, I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking,
spava na ulici u nekom...
sleeping in the street in Split, or sleeping in the street on Medjugorje. My ticket is free. I'm a hobo. I'll go on excursion.
Što sam napravio kad sam izašao iz autobusa,
The first thing that I did is I stole 2 or 3 liters of wine when I went into a store. I walked around. I was thirsty.
dođem ispred kapije gdje je bilo napisano,
And after a little time, I came in front of a
ja gledam, ja govorim Dijana se zove ta gospođa,
gate that says Chinakolo. And I'm looking
Dijana mi je govorila da je tu neka komuna, čovječe, možda je
and I'm thinking about this woman, Diana. She told me this. I started looking inside.
počeli s menom razgovarati,
When the young men saw me, they started talking to me. When they saw such a beauty, they immediately took me in.
ali to je čudo.
But even that's a miracle. What can you do when I'm beautiful?
Vi svi poznate Čanakulu.
You all know Chinakolo. There are no tablets, there are no cigarettes, there's no alcohol, nothing. First month crisis like madness.
Pravno od krize niko nije umra.
But no one died from a crisis, so I didn't die from it either.
Robu koju su skinjeli s mene, to se nije dalo oprati.
The clothes they took off my back could not be washed. They put it on a pile and burnt it. When Sister Vera saw me what I was like,
Vidjela te žive rane,
when she saw these
nema posljednji znak,
scars, she thought I was in the last stage of AIDS and immediately did all of the analysis, and thank God I didn't have it.
Čanakulu, znate, prolazi vrijeme, a
You know, it's Chinakolo, time is passing. I started to put my head in order, and the first thing that drove me crazy in the community is that the young men prayed all 3 rosaries every morning. I thought, you're nuts. I don't want to be a priest.
nema problema s molitvom.
I don't have a problem with prayer. I have problems with drugs, alcohol, tablets.
Momci mene gledao, jedan mi govori,
And the young men were looking at me and saying,
ti se ti nećeš
I said, do you want to pray or you don't want to pray?
bezobrazan.
Oh, no, I can't.
Uzeli su me odmah.
Can't be with a face. They took me right away. I thought,
15,
okay, 1 rosary, 15, 20 minutes. Oh, you can put up with it. 1, I will. But 3, I don't want.
momci rekli, nema problema.
I said, no problem.
Jedno,
You pray
ćemo se moliti mi za te.
1, and the other 2 will pray for you. I said, great guys. That's what you have to do. We have to pray for others. Why would I have to pray for myself if you can pray for me?
A dobro, to je tako trebalo vjerovatno biti.
Likely that had to be so in this way. Time passed. I started to pray more, speak more about myself and about others, and little by little I started to change. And then 11 months of community. In me, great jealousy towards other young guys. Their family were coming to visit them, and no one came to visit me. For 10 years, I had no contact with my family. 9 years on the street, and a year in the community. And now, through prayer, my conscience was awakening. I started to be sad about everything I did to my family, to people I wanted to reconcile with my father. But how? I wanted to write a letter. But the guy said, no, you cannot write the letter. You, if you want to reconcile with your family, you have to make a sacrifice. Without sacrifice, there's no love and there's no fruit. I said, okay, what am I to do?
U 2 sata.
Every morning you will get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. You will go to chapel for 1 hour. You will kneel, pray, and believe. And you will see. Everything will be good. Who is going to get up at 2 o'clock, I thought. But I see nothing else is left to me. I had a great desire. I started to get up. I started to kneel. I started to pray. But I didn't believe.
Ja sam bio siguran da ću prije umrit.
I was sure that I would die before my father would reconcile with me.
Nije prošlo ni mani mjesec dana.
Not even a month passed. A young man came and said, Goran, some pilgrims came from Croatia. Come with me. Show them the community a little. I said, okay. I came there. I opened the door to the dining room, and the first that I saw was my father. Immediately I lowered my head and said, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now?
To mi je bio najteži trenutak.
That was the most difficult moment in my life. That moment of shame, of guilt.
Ja vam to ne mogu opisati.
I cannot describe it to you. I remained blocked. I lowered my head. I didn't have the strength to even raise my head to look at him, how much I was ashamed. And he saw how difficult for us he came to me. And he embraced me. And he started to cry. Then I embraced him. I also started to cry. The entire day we just cried. We didn't say anything. I didn't even know what to say to him. What am I going to say to him? I'll be good. On the other hand, I couldn't even ask for forgiveness because I wasn't sure that I would be normal. And all my life I lied. For the first time in my life, I wanted to be honest towards him. I didn't want to give him false hope. The only thing I said to him when he was leaving, I said, listen, it's not your fault. Everything is on me. But if you want, you see, when you come back home, would you ask your wife that you start praying for me? And he looked at me and he said, my son, we've been praying for you for a long time. What do you think? Today, I would think about that. That all of this had to be in this way, that prayer and faith had to return back into my family. This gave me strength to continue. After 4 or 5 years, I want to go out. I want to go out because I want to prove to God, people, and everybody else that I could start to live a normal life like everybody else. I didn't want to return back to Split because I felt born again in Medjugorje. But there's a problem. I couldn't find work. It's not that people really believed or trusted me. But a lady took care of that. Because I was a good friend of the Franciscans that are here at the parish, and I was the best friends with Father Slavko Barbarich, the one who died on Cross Mountain. I said to him, Father, please help me find a job that start to live a normal life. He listened to me and he said, Goran, I've already been following you a long time. I see you're okay. I will find you something. Not even a month passed. Father Slavko came to community and he said, Goran, I have good news for you. I have work for you. But listen to me. I have a fantastic job for you. Believe me, I will make you director. I'm thinking, wow, I will be a director. And didn't say anything more to me. He left. I remained alone. I'm thinking about, I will be director. How can I be director? I'm an ordinary drug addict. But he's a priest. He was not allowed to lie. And I thought, okay, fine. Father Slavko is joking. But director for sure means some good work. I left the community, went to the parish office, and I said, Father, here, and what am I supposed to do? And he looks at me, and he says, you will clean toilets. What do you think you were going to be doing? I says, my dear mother, a director of the bathrooms, of toilets. These are these bathrooms here, right behind you, beside you. I started to work, and it was great. I cleaned, washed, met people, prayed. A super period. But as time continued, I started to be agitated. Agitated because I worked every day. Even Saturday, Sunday, feast from morning to night. On the one hand, this was good. Because when I would get my money, I didn't have time to spend the money. I could put all the money aside. I didn't have to pay for the bathroom, for the toilet, because I was the director. On that side, it was good. But on this side, I want to find a girl. How am I going to find the girl when all they have in the bathrooms? So the only thing left for me was to look for the love of my life in the public bathroom. Yeah, just laugh. You see that there are two entrances there, men and women. At that time when I was a director, then there was only the doors for the men. Everybody came in to the same part and then separated. That's very important because right across from the a men's entrance, there's the director's office. There's a window, and the entire day I was looking at the girls. I couldn't care less whether somebody would pay or not. The parish shop is bankrupted because of me. I saw very beautiful women, all of them going to the bathroom. And one day, a young woman came in. At this moment, when she passed by me, I can explain to you a warmth from my head. At that moment, when she passed near me, I knew that she would be my wife. I knew that Our Lady gave me and my journey, and she would be mine. I started to be more agitated because I couldn't find out who she was. I had a big problem. When you have problems that you cannot solve yourself, at that moment, it's only prayer that you have left. So I started to pray humbly to the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit descends on the Franciscans, and the Franciscans changed my job. Not even 20 days passed. Deceased Father Ivan Bradvica came and was shouting 20 meters away, "Goran, I have good news. You're getting a promotion." I said, "Oh, Blessed Mother, how much I love you. So fast. And I'm even getting a promotion." I came to the parish office and I said, "Father Ivan, what am I going to do?" He says, "There's the broom. Put your name on it, and you will sweep all the way around." Fantastic. Fantastic, because I will work 8 days. Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and holidays, I'm not working. Lots of free time, and this is what I prayed for. Immediately I started to find out who the love of my life is. And then problems became because they discovered that that girl is a Czech, does not know Croatian. She's 13 years younger than I am. She's a million times more beautiful than me. She never had a boyfriend. She came to Medjugorje to pray because she wanted to be a nun.
Na drugu stranu,
And on the other hand, I, drug addict, alcoholic, a tablet abuser, thief, cut a pop, tattooed, with a bullet in the head, epilepsy, schizophrenia, hepatitis C, and what's the most beautiful of all, when I would smile, I had 3 teeth.
i sad ja vas pitam,
And now I'm asking you, is there any human logic that her and I would be together? Or said to me, "You're nuts. Look at what you look like. Nobody's ever going to take you." But I knew that she would be mine. For 9 months I ran after her like a dog. And she refused me, pushed me away, told me I was ugly, that I was
a ja, ko vjerni pas, samo sam hoda za njom.
absolutely adverse. But I, as a faithful dog, followed her. As she worked and lived in a pension to be able to have enough money to pay for her time to pray for her vocation. Very soon I became friends with the people who owned the pension, and I came there with the chocolates, etc. But she would lock herself in a room when I came. And I said, after 9 months, I have to change the tactics. I came to pension, she was washing dishes. I said, "Listen, my dear one, you know these days I'm in Germany. There I came to know a girl, and that girl wants me. And these days I'm taking my bags and I'm going for Hamburg. And then I will get married. I will have family. I will have children. And you wash dishes if you're stupid." As I said this, she threw down the dishes and went to her room. And at that moment, I felt that there was something there. But I got up and left. Her name is Katarina, and through these 9 months that I've been after her, she came to know what a person I was like from inside. And she started to like me. But she had a fear of my past. She was sad. She didn't want to separate in that way. She wanted to speak with me. She wanted to do this and just separate in that way. So she went across the mountain, and she said, "My Jesus, Goran is leaving. I'll never see him again. I'm sad because you know my feelings for him. But dear Jesus, I know if it is your will that I open my heart to him. That is why, Jesus, I will give you an assignment. If Goran comes to me tonight and Goran asks me, 'Do you want to say something to me?' Jesus, if he says that to me and it's your will, and I promise you I will open my heart to him." That night I came to the coffee shop. I saw the Katarina with 2 friends, Immediately I took my chair and I sat next to her. I looked her in the eyes. And the only question that I said to her, Katarina, do you want to say something to me? When I asked her that question, she became red, like this bottom part of the Polish flag. She started to shake. I got frightened. Why shaking? It's a normal question. What's wrong with you? And she took me by the hand. She said, please, let's go outside. Aha. We came out. And she said to me, listen, Goran, I'm really sorry that I offended you, that I put you down. I see you're a very good man. I like you, but now you're leaving. It's too late. And I quietly sat down like Father Marco in confession. I closed my eyes and I only listened to her. After an hour, however long she was talking, I said, listen, my beloved, I have to be honest with you. This girl in Germany, I'm not interested in her at all. I'm not interested in her. My love, let's you and I start. She was sure that I was leaving. She got frightened. She said, no, oh, yes, no, yes, no. But I felt that was my moment. I was so persevering. I was so pushing that finally she said, okay, we'll try. But she right away told me, there's no sex. You can't kiss me, not even on my face. You can't even hold my hand. Until wedding, if there's going to be a wedding. I said, fine, let's go. 15 months. And now every once in a while, Katarina, I'm got lots of age. I want to get married and we have children. And she would say, slowly, slowly. Were you rushing? If you're rushing, something's not good with you. After 15 months, I'd love to hear. I said, no, I'm fat enough. Today you will give me an answer. Will you get married to me or not? If you decide no, no problem. You go your way, I'll go my way. I'm not going to be walking around with you for 10 years. In the end, I know who I am and what I've chosen in my life. If you don't believe me, it's not my problem. I want the answer today. And she in a coma. And you know where she went? She went to the Cross Mountain again. She went up. The Cross Mountain saved my life. She went up. As she up there was a group of pilgrims from Slovakia there. Among the pilgrims from Slovakia, there was a priest who was holding the Bible under his arms. Katarina came to the priest and said, Father, please, would you loan me your Bible? He said, why? I need to receive a very important answer from the Bible. He said, kneel down. She knelt down, he prayed over her, he blessed her, and loaned her the Bible. She knelt at the foot of the cross and said, my Jesus, what am I to do? I have to find the answer. Goran wants to get married, but I'm afraid. What if he starts to take drugs again? What if he starts to drink alcohol? What if he starts beating me? I've taken for her my whole life. I don't know if marriage is my way, or it's my call in my life. In the end, Goran wants us to live forever in Medjugorje. I don't know anybody here. What am I going to do here? No more questions. She prayed and prayed. In the end, closed eyes, she opened the Bible, and her eyes fell down to where she read, remain where you are. This is your road. This is your way. Do not be afraid. I'm with you. And it was very clearly written, get married to Goran. But no, don't clap. No. Everyone else would have understood, especially the men. But again, problems. Why problems? Because Katarina is a woman. Forgive me, you women, but you always complicate simple things. And again, she wasn't sure. She shut the Bible, gave it back to the priest, and started to descend. 20 meters, she stopped, she looked at the priest. At that moment, she remembered. When Katarina was 11 years old, from southern Republic of Czech, she went to south to the vacation to her grandmother. One day she went with the grandmother to Mass. This young priest came to her and said to her, little girl, kneel down. I will pray for your life's journey, for your vocation in life. I will always accompany you with my prayers. She knelt down. He raised his hands over her and prayed over her. For 12 years she didn't see him again. That priest that was on across the mountain, that prayed over her, that loaned her the Bible, was him. At that moment she was certain that it was Our Lady's will that she could marry me without a problem. We got married on the 3rd of June 2000, and you will see the fruits now. Thank you.
Nažalost.
Unfortunately, we don't have any more time. Katarina, just say one word. Just one. I didn't think I would say anything. But the most important is faith. What else can I say to you? It carries everything. Our whole life, our marriage, everything. I don't know what else to say. That's it.